Hello students, let's start our class. Today we are going to discuss a new chapter from your democratic politics. The name of the chapter is Constitutional Design. We noted in the previous chapter that in a democracy the rulers are not free to do what they like. There are certain basic rules that the citizens and the government have to follow. All such rules together are called Constitution. As a supreme law of the country, the Constitution determines the rights of citizens, the powers of the government, and how the government should function. In this chapter, we will learn the basic questions about the constitutional design of a democracy. Why do you need a constitutions? How are the constitutions drawn up? Who designs them and in what way? What are the values that shape the constitutions in democratic states? Once a constitution is accepted, can we make changes later as required by the changing conditions? One recent instance of designing constitutions for a democratic state is that of South Africa. So, we'll start this chapter by looking at what happened there and how the South Africans went about this task of designing their constitution. Democratic Constitution in South Africa. I have fought against white domination and I have fought against black domination. I have cherished the ideals of a democratic and free society in which all persons live together in harmony and with equal opportunities. It is an ideal which I hope to live for and to achieve. But if needs be, it is an ideal for which I am prepared to die. This was Nelson Mandela being tried for treason by the white South African government. He and 7 other leaders were sentenced to life imprisonment in 1964 for daring to oppose the apartheid regime in his country. He spent the next 28 years in South Africa's most dreaded prison, Robben Island. Struggle against apartheid. Apartheid was the name of a system of racial discrimination unique to South Africa. The white Europeans imposed this system on South Africa. During the 17th and 18th centuries, the trading companies from Europe occupied it with arms and force in the way they occupied India. But unlike India, a large number of whites had settled in South Africa and became the local rulers. The system of apartheid divided the people and leveled them on the basis of their skin color. The native people of South Africa are black in color. They made up about 3/4 of the population and were called blacks. Besides these two groups, there were people of mixed races who were called colored and people who migrated from India. The white rulers treated all non-whites as inferiors. The non-whites did not have voting rights. This system was oppressive towards all non-whites. They were not allowed to live in areas inhabited by the whites. They were not allowed to use the same transportation as the whites, the same hotels, hospitals, schools, colleges, theaters, beaches, swimming pools, and even public toilets. Nelson Mandela, the leader of the African National Congress, fought against the white South African government his entire life. He was imprisoned in 1964 and he spent 28 years in rigorous imprisonment, but continued opposing the apartheid regime. From 1950, the blacks, the Indians, under the umbrella of the African National Congress led by Nelson Mandela, fought against apartheid. Mandela was supported by some white South Africans who spoke against the unjust rule. Finally, on the 26th of April 1994, the new national flag of the Republic of South Africa was hoisted, making it one of the latest democracies in the world. The apartheid government came to an end, giving way to the formation of a multi-party and multiracial government. A constitution was drafted based on universal values that promoted democracy, social justice, and human rights. The South Africans called themselves Rainbow Nation because after apartheid ended, they accommodated people of all colors in their fold. Dear students, how was the new constitution of South Africa formed? After many years of protest and demonstrations against the white supremacist apartheid regime in South Africa, the power elite finally realized that it would no longer be possible to rule the blacks through repression. As a result, a new Republic of South Africa was born, and the political leadership of both majority blacks and minority whites decided to draw up a new constitution. It was decided that the constitution will be based on equality of all races and genders, democratic values, social justice, and human rights. To this purpose, the black leaders appealed to fellow blacks to forgive the whites for the atrocities they had committed while in power. After 2 years of debate and discussion, the South African leadership came up with what is considered one of the best constitutions in modern world history. This constitution gave its citizens extensive rights and included all sections of society, regardless of their previous political opinions or biases, in the deliberations. What is a constitution? A constitution is primarily a set of rules and principles specifying how a country should be governed, how power is distributed and controlled, and what rights citizens possess. It is usually written down and contained within a single document. The UK is unusual in having an uncodified constitution with many sources. Now question arises, why do you need a constitution? Every country drafts its own constitutions. A constitution of a nation is a set of written laws accepted by people living together in a country. It generates trust and coordination. It specifies how a government should be constituted. It also lays down limits on the powers of the government. It also expresses the aspirations of the people about creating a good society. Dear students, let's recap the portions. Struggle against apartheid. Prior to 1994, the South African government followed a system of apartheid. This system led to racial segregation between the whites, blacks, coloreds, and the Indians. Under apartheid, the division of people was on the basis of their skin color. How was the new constitution of South Africa formed? Then we have discussed what is a constitution. A constitution is primarily a set of rules and principles specifying how a country should be governed, how power is distributed and controlled, and what rights citizens possess. At last we have discussed why do you need a constitution. Thank you, students. Have a great day ahead.